Hey,
Hey,
Edgar. How's it going? Let me see here. See if we get some folks to join. I got to get better about sending agendas, but I kind of just been scrambling trying to get this thing going today. Let me see here. Oh, cancel that. Yeah, he had to get me some access, and that helped a little bit, but then I got a different error.
oh, did they actually give you access? Okay.
Yeah, like he hadn't given me access. I'm just looking back to see if
Okay.
um so that fixed one thing, but then I went to push. Let me see, I'll share. Should be this one. Then I went to push here, and who knows? Maybe I just needed more time. Well, no, because something did change. So, okay, oh, where's my GitHub?
There you go. You,
Now
bunch
it's
of
just spinning. Why is that spinning?
it's loading, seems like.
That's weird. Usually it's just like there right away. Is it pushing it? Oh no.
No, you can try commit to main again, the blue button at the bottom left.
Let's try that and see if I get an error.
Let's see. Permission denied. No, still permission denied.
I wonder if I went on or off of like VPN or something. I wonder.
Oh,
Shouldn't matter.
but yeah, no, that's not in the Intel network, so shouldn't matter.
Yeah. Like, no, I wonder if it messed something up. But anyway, cool. Hey, Jeff, how's it going?
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy
Hi,
New
Jeff.
Year.
We're over here just trying to see if I can get to work. Oop, how do I guess once I share I can't see anything anymore, huh? Like I just go blind. I can't see you guys or anything. Um yeah, so just to kind of let you guys know, I don't know if you guys have been able to, well, let me check. Yeah, have you guys been able to get the GitHub stuff working yet on your side?
Are you asking me in particular,
Okay,
Dan?
anybody?
I still have to, I haven't yet had the thought process for myself of what username I want to be um,
It's
on
such a big
GitHub.
it's such a big decision because then you're stuck with it forever, right?
Well, it's just like, anything I have historically that's, quote unquote mine. Do I want to intermingle it with OCP? Um,
Yeah,
those kinds of questions, you
yeah.
know,
I,
versus,
mhm.
yeah.
Nope,
So
that's a good one. So yeah, I don't know, Jeff. Did you have a chance to try this out, or
I don't know if I don't remember.
so
Can you
we've got this repository area.
actually just throw that in the chat real quick and I'll just connect.
Yeah, I was gonna say, see if you can get to it. I had a permission problem which Kevin uh, fixed, but then I'm having other problems, which
of course.
it's like you just keep peeling the onion. Okay, so I'm just gonna kill this really fast. And
Yeah, I'm in there.
okay, so you can get to it. Can you push anything to it? Can you like sync to it if that makes sense?
Uh, uh,
Mine's just wow, this is a new one. So now it's just spinning. And then when I try to commit, now I'm getting a different error. Permission denied fatal. So that's weird. That's a newish error. I'm gonna add this to my. So this is the error I was getting before. So let me know if you're able to push anything, Jeff. Actually,
look here, I'll just let me see if I can let me see if it'll let me edit the file here just to.
yeah, there you go. Or you can edit one of his or something, right? I'm gonna send this while you guys are here.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So you have to, we're not getting permissions to write because it's telling me I have to fork it if I want to make a change.
Yeah,
That's okay. You can make polls from that, but it will be easier if we give folks write permissions and
yep. So I think what we all have to do is we all have to send Kevin our GitHub,
Exactly.
I guess, username, so he can grant permission. So I think that's definitely a.
Yeah, I thought he did that on when he was on with us in the last meeting, but
That's what I thought too. I thought we, but apparently not. And then the weird thing is too, he fixed it. Okay, and now I'm just gonna send him I'm just gonna send him this too really fast. So, okay. So I guess go ahead if everybody has Kevin's email, right? Does anybody need that?
Yeah.
Okay. So he changed some things, but apparently not quite there yet. And not just for me. So then the other thing I did, that I was thinking if we spend any time, just kind of getting back into the mode today. So I did pull the Word doc and started this very quickly. And then what I kind of did the split screen stuff. I pulled this, and I don't know, Jeff, actually, you may know, or I think you had pointed before, but maybe I was thinking of kind of like going through RSpec, starting to put some basics, which I just barely started. And then I was going to use this as sort of a comparison to see like, okay, what did they do for like, like this license section, right? Because like there's all this stuff on license and then they just went to like something really short. So do you think we can kind of, and I can do a lot of this offline, but we can even start today with like, would the manageability spec be pretty analogous to what we're doing? I thought probably more so than this one.
uh I don't remember, and there's certainly a
Because I only because I went to see
CMS. The thing is that this is going to be, it's like, is there really contributions here? It's not going to be
yeah.
as
And
a,
this
in
was,
terms of like, I mean, as opposed to like kind of this, what constitutes a contribution from those
exactly.
standpoints. I mean, this is not a design document. This isn't a it's not a blueprint. It's not a design file.
Yeah, and I just put it under sort of acknowledgments because it's not like it's a contribution type, like you said, right? There's no IP kind of stuff here.
Yeah, this may be a question for John Leo, because I mean, it's almost like, is this from a licensing standpoint, this may be more like Creative Commons as opposed to the intellectual property
Yep.
seal, whatnot. But
Right.
Yeah.
That's in the other working group, we did a white paper and Creative Commons.
okay,
Okay.
So I don't know, and for a white paper, the review by OCP process is easier.
Pretty light. Yeah.
So why did we decide on a spec here?
Yeah, so we decided on a spec because we do want this to be something that they sort of must do. That way, when they report out for the other metrics, that it's basically
I see.
right. So
Okay.
yeah, so I
And
think
there's nothing else that we could like add a chapter to? No existing spec that we could update?
well, this is the template they have, so it's sort of a
No, no, no. I'm not saying just the template, but I'm saying is is there,
oh, you're
just
saying could we piggyback on some other spec and just say also do power telemetry as this?
yes, that's my question.
That's a good question. I'm not aware. Um, the closest one might be the manageability one I was just asking about.
yeah, yeah, manageability may be the closest one, and that's certainly something we can think about, but I'm not sure that's going to be in the right place either. And I have to, because we don't have I have to go back and look at all the manageability
Yeah,
stuff.
I was just gonna go through
And
it.
it's like, this is like a basic management requirement thing. And so, I mean, it may be something over time that it might make sense that and maybe we're just we may be the trailblazers here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's see. I can go look in Open Compute Project. And yeah, because it seems like it might be a lot. And then are these, we can share again. Are these the specs I thought were supposed to be published under this contributions area? But I just kind of see these agreements.
Yeah, they'll be under projects. Go to the hardware management. Just no, go to the main, just the main one. Yeah,
There we go.
kind of weird that it does that. And then there's a specification underneath. Yeah, go there.
Got it. You guys are all pro marked out. Okay, cool.
Well, this is all wiki, not markdown, but
Yeah.
um,
okay, so here we go.
yeah,
So
yeah. Scroll down to the bottom. But see, that's the thing is there's
specification.
it's all legacy stuff. So I mean,
There's nothing new like a DC SCM or anything like that.
well, that's in a different. Those are in different groups. But I mean, but those are going to be real specifications for a product implementation. I mean, this
Yeah,
would be much more of a almost, more almost a requirements list or and the must do one of the followings kind of stuff. It's not going to be a breakdown of a protocol and a and a bunch of pinout diagrams and stuff like that.
exactly. Yeah, and then I mean eventually we'll have the software stuff and the API things and all that, but like the first rev is just going to be like you said, pretty straightforward. Um, identify all OCP specifications implemented by Signal.
Yeah, so see, that's all legacy stuff. So I wouldn't even want to.
Uh-huh.
Okay, let's see. So you think maybe? Wonder if it's somewhere else.
No, it's I'm just trying to rack my head. It's like, do we have we really don't. There is not a hardware management specs per se. I mean, it's there's a bunch of stuff. It's not here's management for OCP. It doesn't work that way.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we could. I mean, the one that I found was sort of the.
Anything that's what our profile stuff is kind of going towards, and I think that,
Uh-huh.
like I said before, I think this document will probably have a parallel, probably a parallel profile that will show you how that here is one way you can meet the requirements as laid out in the specification.
Yeah, let's see here. So actually, they give a few here. Fueling specification, DCA, MCS. These are going to have, like you said, they're going to be definitely.
Yeah, because I mean that's because following most OCP things is going to be if you follow the spec, then you end up with a product. You end up with
Exactly. Like a
station.
piece of hardware or something.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
and
this is
you end up
this
with a
is
specific piece, right? And this specification is going to be more of a general, your product must do these things.
right. Exactly. Okay. I mean, I think we can still try to use this and then just see where it goes.
And by the way, I don't want to get, I don't want us to get all wrapped around the axle on the word specification. I think that's just the OCP terminology for, document with normative type language, right? But
Exactly. Yeah. So just to look though, I mean, just give a comparison. You can see quite literally the scope is just something like this, right? So um, defines, the set. So I mean, I can just start literally removing a lot of this and just getting very, I can do some of this offline, but but like you said, just defines the requirements necessary for a data center, or I should say OCP compliant.
Yeah.
And
Devices to report sustainability data, or
yeah.
I wouldn't say server. Well,
Oh, that's right. Yeah, compliant OCP compliant devices to report power data in a manner consistent. With, and then this is kind of where I wanted to reference the other outcoming one, consistent with in a manner consistent with and then I'll put here, reference, blah, blah, blah. For power data in a manner to maybe how here collect and to maybe like measure, collect, and report. All right. We can keep going for that. Describe the contribution or product. Go ahead.
Sorry, any quick question? The reference with expectation for key data center sustainability metrics, the metrics you are thinking of referencing is like, are you referring PUE or what are you referring to as?
Yep. Yeah, exactly. So like our parallel tracks, like the one Sammy's running and everybody like, yeah, like if PUE needs reporting of device power for their calculation, then I'd want to like maybe reference it here. That was the thought. Does that make you agree or make sense or?
Yeah, no, that's right. I think right now the PUE draft that they have out, they're not mentioning about measuring device level power there though.
So, but I think to do well, and maybe they don't have any, but I think eventually they probably are gonna want some measurements of power versus cooling versus other things, right? And I'm making their calculation. That's kind of what I had thought.
Yeah, in my head it seems like report the power data in a manner that is usable for other sustainability metrics and reference PUE. Like because they don't talk about measuring the device level power, but they obviously need to use that.
Well, for PUE, they would typically measure further back in the power chain. There's no need to add up all the devices and everything, everything in the rack and everything, they would just pick like, I don't remember that the UPS or, someplace like that. So
yeah,
that's right. That's how PUE is done.
Yeah, then it is neither usable nor, consistent with the key metrics mentioned in that spec.
So why? Well, I guess the question is how do you have a data center efficiency metric without collecting power data?
So
again, it's collected elsewhere. It's collected, say, at the UPS.
Oh, at the UPS only. And so, but how
in order to calculate PUE, I will find a picture and put it in the chat.
Maybe you want to say in a manner that might be useful for these key data center sustainability metrics, because it is actually collected at the UPS and these supply sources, basically the power sources. Right now, nothing is to say that folks can't actually add up all the components and try that method. Essentially,
well, A, it's not too much work, and B, it doesn't align with the official definition of PUE.
So I get, but the question is, if then why would they be doing this then, right? Or in other words, like for the whole reason to have a spec is to say like, hey, you must do this, and then if you do this, you are compliant. So, I mean, if the only benefit that we can then say that their power reporting is consistent with OCP standards, or like if it's not going to get used somewhere else, it just has its own utility. I guess we could put that, right? Consistent. Measure and coordinate power in a manner. So then it would be in a manner consistent with OCP standards for an OCP standards period. That's basically what we're saying. It's not going to get used somewhere else. It's just like, hey, if you're collecting and reporting device power, this is how you have to do it to be OCP compliant.
Sure, we can say that.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, this is all like Rev 0.1 of many, right? So, okay. Overview the contribution of or product, include the problem it addresses. And okay. So I think here I can put some stuff here, but basically, this is along the lines of like in order to achieve this is sort of along the lines of like in order to improve data center. blah, blah, blah. So something along those lines. Okay. And I can do some stuff, and then when we all get working on Git, I guess we can do it together. Instructions for the 6 to 7 are required. This is good. Are required to document features and functions of the hardware system, platform, or card. The section is not applicable to contribution. You may skip the section with a blank. Where possible, please use openness. No NDA or confidentiality included. Okay. So I think this may be something where we quickly go through and probably put, we think it's NA, and then when we go through some of our OCP reviews, I don't think there's anything here. Do you guys? Environmental and regulatory requirements?
I would hold on.
Yep. So I'll just do like NA. And then I'm gonna do this. I'll just write it out. Okay. Physical specifications.
I hope not.
Same thing, right? Should not be. Not sure why that's like that, but
Must be made of matter.
must exist, right? So physical and then mechanical, same thing.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything applicable here.
Well, it'll be kind of interesting to see is how I mean, yeah. These are going to be bigger OCP questions is like, do these need to actually be here, or can we just remove the sections entirely? But I mean, for the moment, let's just do that, right? So
oh, exactly. Oh, was that I think I screwed something up. Let me make sure I didn't. Oh, no, I guess 7.1 is mechanical, so it's under 7. So I'm just going to get rid of that whole thing.
I would get rid of all that in electrical, yeah.
So for electrical, let me see here. Please describe general electrical power requirements.
Strange, but probably
I was gonna say, I'm sure. Is this also
the software spec, really? So
I mean, it's mostly, well, I mean, I guess here we could, if we don't have it later, we would need to have things like, I mean, we could say like, if we have stuff for power sensors, maybe that's there. Like board level power sensors is what I'm thinking of.
mm-hmm.
Board level power.
Yeah, we may want to put things about the set, it may be if that could be things where the sensor accuracies and tolerance, right. Maybe that we could place that under electrical if that, just to help flesh the thing out instead of just being one giant section. So maybe that's interesting.
Yep. And thermal. So I guess, I mean, there might be something here where we have a kind of, I was thinking the same thing. You know what? Let me, hope you guys aren't like squinting because it's not like I'm going back and forth. Let me just open this up. But, this sort of like consistent, I mean, I think we maybe just do something like we reference whatever the standard server operating conditions are or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so let me do that. I'll just kind of put a placeholder here. Which, maybe somebody's designing a sensor and then they don't have to go. They look here and they're like, okay, yeah, these are the ranges that have to be
right.
So that I think is fair. So we can put something there. Oh, interfaces. Okay. So, I mean, this seems like where we'd want to talk about the, I squared C, power management bus, those kind of things. Because we are making that expectation of redfish and so forth, right? Reference and description of power management bus, connectivity, other CP specs. Okay. Oh, lot to do there, but we can get started. And I'm gonna get rid of this in the meantime. Signal list. I mean, I mean, this is just interfaces. So, I mean, I guess this could be even where we talk about, I mean, I guess, yeah, isn't this where we would, I guess, is it a signal or is it like a protocol so far as like how to report power on that bus? So I'll just put a placeholder here, like, I'll just do that for now. I don't know if that's really signals or not, but trying to think if there's other stuff like, well, no, PDBs and all that would be part of the DCMCHS. Those obviously have others. Well, I guess too, if there is a like sensor signal expectations, right? So like if there's a, again, board level power sensor and device signal / pins, right? So which ones are on that bus? Probably. Okay. That could be the only thing I can think of. Get rid of this other stuff for now. Onboard power system. I mean, I guess the same thing, right? So like, yeah. So power sensors and how do they get power? Supply. I don't think we want to mention device power or any of that thing. I'm trying to think here. I mean, yeah, because any other device is going to have its own power connection, and we don't want to start mapping all that out. Okay, I don't think so. Prescribed materials. I did not any. I can't think of anything here. Can you guys?
No.
Okay, I'm gonna put not applicable. Now, come back to that.
Will a protocol could apply in that section, like I don't know, PM bus compatible, things like that. I don't
know. A PM bus, what? Sorry.
Compatibility with PM bus. I don't know, just trying to think on something that might fit in there.
I think here they're talking about, if I go back to what it had before, it was like, oops, like kind of like specific components. Let me see here. Any specific component? Yeah, like specific IC, prescribed materials. I don't really know how this is used. I can look in some other ones, but I'm gonna put not applicable and then I'll maybe keep this for now. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Materials were like the materials kind of cute, weird. So system firmware. So this is one where please document obtaining firmware function, necessary features, blah, blah, blah. I guess this is where we do reference the manageability. And you think there's a new one, Jeff, then that's just not on that page or something, or?
He texted that he needed to step away for a minute.
Thanks. I'm like so blind here. DCMHS, I guess. Is that what the, wait, DCMHS is the entire one. What's the, there's the manageability module. I forget what that's called.
I don't
CM
know.
or something like that.
I don't know.
I'm holiday ignorant now again. I forgot. So I think that's where we mentioned those, and then this is where we'd want to mention redfish profiles. if there's so OpenBMC, and Jeff would know this, but I think it's sort of like referenced by OCP versus OCP expectations. I don't know, because OpenBMC is not part of Open Compute, but there's some linking, so I think that's where we have to deal with all that stuff. I mean, there'd probably be a lot here. Okay. Hardware management. Please document the hardware management implementation include firmware. Optional BMC data center. So I think we'll have some stuff here. This will be a lot of stuff here too. Okay. Compliance. All products seeking OCP accepted shall have this source code and binary. Compliance. Okay, so I think this one is, we probably have something here, but you need to ask OCP.
Yeah, well, that's if we have any. I mean, we're not going to. Well, we can ask. We probably won't have to have anything here.
Probably not. Okay, yeah, like it's not like their BMC firmware is going to need to have something. I don't think, right?
Well, this is talking about the compliance of the things that are toward your spec. So this would be like if it's if you have code, it has to be there's open source and therefore what open source licenses do you comply to? If there's just like UL or FCC, those kinds of regulatory compliance stuff.
Right. Likely no. Okay. So security functionality or specification include a required by date. That's a good one. I don't know. I know we will definitely have to think about this a lot when it comes to our big phase 2, where we try to get the end user access to telemetry. Because you don't want to make sure, for instance, the user 1 on the server doesn't know what the other user's doing and could infer that from the power telemetry and things like that. So we probably are going to have to deal with that then. For this sort of first release for data center operator out of band, I'm not sure if there's anything. And then for phase 2. User. I don't know if that's the right terminology, but sort of this, we wouldn't want them to be able to go through and like start doing things on their own workload as a way to see how the other things react or anything. So I know there's been, that's a big security concern for sure. But I think for OOB only, can you guys think of anything for this first phase?
Well, so there must be some general security policy on band. We would just be following whatever that is.
Well, so I mean, if I think the statements we want to make, we will want to make about security will be that any of our there shall not be anything required by the spec that would require compromise of any security best practices or use of insecure protocols, things like that.
Right. Yeah.
We may want to say it in the opposite way, to say that while the spec may allow for insecure communications, it shall not require any.
Yeah. none. I'll just say something like, yeah, I think this is like,
because there, there's the authorization, and then there's the, well, I don't want people to have access to that. Like, okay, well, that's different things, right?
you're saying, well, a spec may allow for, like you said, non-secure, non-encrypted kite communications.
Yeah. Well, for instance, if we said that you have to, that, that you must use IPMI over LAN to allow us to pull power data, that would be a non-starter because that's a known insecure broken protocol.
Mm-hmm.
So we may say
saying, like,
you can, that may be one of the ways you can use it, but it will not be the only one because that would require you to turn on insecure protocol. So, we're not going to open new holes. We're not going to open, anything that would, I hate to use like lessen the, widen the scope or lessen the, lessen the security, or trying to think the right way to word that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think you try to, like, it may not, it will not.
No harm.
Yeah, it will not compromise.
Right. Well, yeah, we're not going to ask you to do things that would compromise your security footprint.
That kind of a thing. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Now you may say, well, I'm not going to connect any of this stuff to any networking device because I'm afraid to have it available, et cetera, et cetera. Like, well, okay, then there may be an all or none on that, but.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I think these are good things that kind of helps us think about what we have in front of us, but I'll leave all this here because we might need to think about it.
I think that's just for good for future thought.
Yeah, exactly. Please identify any software and or tools used to validate the hardware design and include test and verification. So, this is interesting. And include test and validation. So, and include test.
Yeah, we'll point to things, some of the, probably some open source tools, some things like the interop profile validator, things that we'll use later.
Yeah, I was wondering if this is kind of a weird section, but is there a section where we talk about things like, calibration and confirming of accuracy and things like that? Like, is that, I don't know if that's a future section, right? Where we talk about, like, how do you, not just by design, right, but as part of your qualification procedure, system/device. Methods to ensure accuracy, completeness, whatever. I don't know if that goes here or where, but okay. Yeah, and then like you said, there'll probably be some pointing of those tools and stuff. ARM system ready. I don't know what this is.
But yeah, it's not going to apply, but.
So probably a not applicable kind of thing.
Yeah.
Just put that for now. I don't know. So that's like their own spec, right? For server slides, my server. Interesting. Okay. References, title, publication. And so this is, okay. Okay, so we can have that. And then we'll probably reference our other sustainability work group. And then probably some other things, but I'll just kind of put a placeholder there. I'm sure we'll have a few things. And if there's some like industry papers that you guys think, like, we could certainly start putting them here. Anything where, like we have some cloud service providers or enterprise users or something like using power telemetry, that might be nice to put in there, I think, actually, for completeness. And I'll put it right here. checklist for IC approval of this specification. Complete all the checklist items in the table. Item has this contribution. Oh, this is our own checklist. How did this cover? Yeah, I guess it's just for us. Okay. And then here, contribution process. As a contributor to a hardware spec, here are some questions. Oh, this is interesting. Yeah, I think we're using a base spec.
All right, because it does say you can contact OCP staff for better.
Yeah, and they did definitely offer. I think when we get closer here, we'll do some syncs, or Kevin will hook us up with the right folks.
Excellent.
What is the contribution process for my hardware spec? So looking back, if I had to go back then, it seems like a lot of it's going to fall under, we'll do a lot of the referencing and the firmware, and maybe some of these interfaces and signals of just PM bus and those things. And then I think a lot of it's going to kind of fall under this electrical requirements. And for all of our like sample rate, accuracy, if we PM bus connectivity, everything like that. Yeah. Is there actually, so maybe this is a homework we need to find, I guess. Does DC, the MHS include a spec for the power management bus? Like, is it I2C? Is it does it run at a certain frequency? I don't know, like minimum or something like that. Because obviously, if it's not running fast enough, you can't get your data out, or maybe you're saturated, or things like that. Device limits. So like, I don't know if we have too many devices and too many samples, like at some point you're going to hit a limit, and I don't know if we need to give guidance there, right? So I don't know if we talked about this, but I think we briefly mentioned like how many devices need to be measured, and I think we kind of talked about that. So I'm just kind of throwing stuff down. I think that's for most.
Have we thought at all about liquid cooled systems?
Have we thought about? I don't think we've talked about it much, but we want it to be in scope. And maybe we go back up to like this. Where is it? Scope here. So, and this, I don't know, we'll say this differently, but sort of like Rev 1 or our own phase 1 that we've talked about. I think we want to have this. We talked about server compute. We want to span server compute systems.
Devices that consume power.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I mean, does that include storage?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, I would hope so. I'm just asking.
I know. I mean, I would give a flippant answer, but that's effectively what I think our scope is. It's and since I've talked to some network folks, and there's been there were some questions about it. So I mean, the best best description I can give that's in real layman's terms is if it has an electrical plug, if your device has an electrical plug on it, then you're in scope. So excluding things that that plug into other things, or things that perhaps get their power from a network, and so their power is accounted for elsewhere. or as a or as a part of a subsystem, then I don't then I don't care. But if you have
Yeah.
and looking for the right, it's like, is it an AC plug? Well, it could be a DC plug. Okay, well, it's a mains plug if you want to use maybe the more European terminology or the more formal terms. But if it's got a mains power plug, then you're in our scope.
But I did, when I think of the BMC, right, I think of a motherboard has a BMC on it. So it would include the fans, but it's all part of the motherboard, right?
Yeah, kind of that main motherboard rail. I don't know how to say it because I mean they're not all.
Well, that's not what I want to. We don't want to measure that. We may want to measure that, but what we need is what we will be trying to measure is as close to the wall watt power. How many what's the power coming out of the wall into your device. I don't want to measure it some downstream thing.
Exactly.
I want to see the input power, because if you have
to your motherboard, right? So, my question was, there are motherboards that largely are, they're stored. If you think from the data center from a software person's point of view, it's compute, storage, networking, right? So storage, right? All the tiers of storage. I would hope that we're covering that as well. And likewise, pieces of equipment that are just for networking. Like, granted, on the server motherboard, there's a NIC, yes, but also there's, much larger networking, whatever they are, boxes, motherboards, devices that, handle the network in and out of and I guess maybe, yeah, networking kind of beyond just the NICs and right. So like the first level switches.
Deb, a rack mounted network switch has power plug. So that's why.
Exactly. So but I just wanted to make sure that, we're saying up front.
Go ahead.
Anything in the data center that, has the power plug. I guess I like that. So you wouldn't then say memory as a separate thing, and you wouldn't say fans as a separate thing.
But we do want to break that out within the server compute system.
Okay, so that would be another point, would be then, for each one of those, compute, and then compute would be general purpose compute, accelerated compute. For each one of those, what do we want to have broken out?
So, right. And so sort of like thinking that we would have a typical compute server, and what are the typical devices that we would expect to have the breakout for. And then kind of to your point, right, then there's this kind of rack level kind of, like you said, switches, obviously the compute servers, the storage, devices, or I don't know if you want to say that, storage nodes.
Yeah.
And then, so I don't, depending on, then I'm trying to think if there's any rack level cooling, or if there's more like data center level components, right? And this would be like a big liquid cooling, type of thing that plugs in, but it doesn't plug in at the rack. It's sort of like the things that plug in within a compute server, the things that plug into a rack, and then beyond that, right?
Well, right. I mean, with immersion, you can kind of think of your rack becomes your, I don't know, bath. I don't know what the term is for it, right? That was my initial question, right? Are we covering that?
But all those components will have, if there's a coolant distribution unit, that's that'll sit in the rack or next to the rack or somewhere else in the data center, and that thing will have a pump, and that thing will have a power cord. So yes, that would be in scope.
So sorry, one thing, let me take a step back over here. We are here approaching things at the component level, right? Like, if there is liquid cooling and there is a distribution system, that is a component, essentially, that is fine. But like when we talk about compute server also, we are actually approaching it at the component level, not at the entire server level, right?
Yeah, I think
I'm
what I
I'm
was,
hearing both.
yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. I think there's going to be, and I think that's a lot of what we contribute with this spec is sort of like, what are the, you know, the major components, like, yeah, the big compute server, the big switches, the big liquid cooling, you know, whatever. But then there's some things where we want to drill down more. And so, okay, within this compute server, it's not enough to just report my 2U, you know, 2 processor, however many DIMM server is consuming 1,000 watts. Like, okay, well, that's okay, but we want to know a little bit more, right? Like, how much is each
How
CPU? How much
much is the
yeah,
fans?
right. So I
But
think,
right.
So our at least initial discussions have completely been on the component level, right? Like when we are talking about them reporting telemetry, then we are thinking of components that are going to report that telemetry. Of course, there might be a system that sort of looks at the entire power reported by the different components and then figure out what is the server's the entire server's power. But when we are talking about telemetry reported, we are still talking about only the components.
I would want the motherboard as well. And then whatever components we can get in addition from the motherboard, you know, that's good.
I'm not sure I followed you, Shruti. Can you say that again?
So when we were initially discussing, we were talking about, power telemetry reported.
Yep, like this stuff, right?
Well, maybe I missed one part, but we were only looking at components reporting the power telemetry at that point, I thought. Right? Because it's I feel like these are, two very different items actually, when you're talking about the entire server reporting what's the power. And, currently, of course, that gets measured in many different ways. Like folks obviously know what a server node in their systems, uses, and they do real-time power measurement already at the server level. But we are talking about the components actually reporting their own telemetry.
So these components report it to the server BMC.
So are we adding direction for the BMC to sort of then say this is the server power also? That's what I'm wondering. Are we talking about?
I think it's both. I think, my thought was that the spec would cover both. For a server compute system, we have this additional set of expectations for that these components must be reported. They're reported to the BMC via Redfish, and then that can get reported out, by the server itself to the rack, to the data center, owner, orchestration software, however you want to say it.
Yes,
yeah. And then I think we're saying that then there's other data center components which also need to report, but maybe they don't have this breakout. Maybe they do. I don't know. Maybe as we start going through this, we'll be like, oh, switches. Maybe there's something else. Maybe they have their own fans. Maybe they have something else. I don't know. Storage nodes. Maybe we want to. I don't know if they have their own BMCs and things like that. Like, is it possible for them to have reporting of each of their devices, or does that not matter? I don't think we've really gotten into these other ones, but we know we want the other ones to report their power just like this. Maybe I need to put sort of like a table or a hierarchy kind of chart.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, maybe that'll help. And I think we should kind of discuss. I think that's what we want to define in here, right? What level is what we want to say is the spec, right?
Yeah, like if we are talking about the components reporting their telemetry, we essentially want, the folks establishing the specifications of these components to start adopting this. If we want the BMC to sort of say the entire power measurement, then we are putting guidelines for the BMC there.
Right.
So whom are we, putting this for?
Yeah, so I think there's within this, it would be for the BMC, for instance, for this guy. And then within these guys, they either may have a BMC or something analogous. I don't know. And then I think the kind of high end one though is that there's an expectation that something's collecting this at a data center level, right? And that's, you know, how does that get sent around? Like, you know, how does this, who is this server reporting all this into? You know?
Yeah, so maybe we start with the component level and then, you know, see if we are going to cover all the hierarchies, because that would mean guidelines for BMC, data center level. Obviously, already we are saying there are guidelines for the component specifications. So I think it is sort of getting wider and wider.
Yep. I think so. And we could, if we decide, I mean, we could just kind of, like you said, release this as a phase 1 spec, only talk about this, and then we could kind of shelve some of these higher, you know, things later. But it might be good for us to take a little time of like brainstorming here what this might look like, and then, you know, we can decide if we, you know, to attack it for this first rev or not, right?
Sure. Okay.
Yeah. And I think really this is all out of band type stuff. And then the big phase 2, you know, we've talked about later would be this sort of application APIs, right? So, but I think we probably want to tackle this. So this might end up being 1 rev, 2nd rev, who knows, right? And then we eventually get to this guy. Okay. So we're about out of time. I'll keep going back and forth with Kevin and see. I'm just looking. He sent me an email too. I'll see if there's any other issues. But if you guys, I guess, let me know too, or try on your own and see if you have trouble with it. If not, I think we should just start like pinging Kevin and making sure we've got the right accesses for GitHub and so forth. But I'll let you guys know via email once I get it working on my end, at least, so you can have this initial spec there, and then you can use this as well. Okay. Anything else for today?
Cool. All right. Thanks, Danny. Gotta run.
Cool.
Oh, sorry. I'll quickly just mention, not for right now, but the next OCP, you know, project meeting that we'll have, the entire team meeting. Danny, if you could also join, it is on January 10th. We sort of want to get feedback on establishing the roadmap of, you know, what the different work streams are going to sort of target publishing, or what outputs they want to target getting done in 2024.
Okay, January 10th. What time is it at? Which
If you don't have the invite, I'll forward it to you right now.
Okay, yeah, if you could forward it to me, it should be good. Okay, cool.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
You should.